Welcome to the Fantasy Take TV Round 19 podcast. On the agenda today, we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go over our biggest regret for the season, go over some hot topics in the AFL. We have a Q&A. A lot of people asking, I really want to do Shorter Stewart, stuff like that. We'll go over that. Some rookies, finally got Hollins, speak about that, and some captain options. I don't think it's that straightforward, the captain, so that'll be very important to make up some ground with captain. So we'll go over that. Without further ado, we'll introduce the boys. And JD, how are you?
Good, Jordan.
Good, thanks, George.
Great. JD, we'll start with you. How did you go this week?
A very, very good week for me. So at 24.99, I'm up to 20th overall. So yeah, flying. Oh wait, Supercoach. Sorry, Supercoach. Oh look, Supercoach was a good week as well. I had a 24.92, which I actually think was the top score out of the three.
How many times have you beat your Supercoach score with your fantasy score, you reckon?
It happens a little bit, actually. It's surprising. And like, it's not even like I had a bad Supercoach score. I think my Supercoach score was top 600 for the week, but my fantasy score was like top 30. So that was with the Redmond injury. But anyway, so yeah, I'm into 3.7K overall now, which is really good. Like, it wasn't that long ago I was still outside the 10K, and I think the last 5 or so weeks have really come home pretty strong, which was great. Made just the one trade, which was Hewitt out to Harry Himmelberg, which I'm very pleased with, given he popped a 130 for me on debut.
Very good.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at that trade that JD did and just wish I had the extra, I think, 5K or something to make it, because I scored 2,422 and went up, I think, 700 spots. So, yeah, like JD, you've kind of been going up 1,000 spots every week. And then, obviously, as you get higher, it sort of slows down a bit, but sort of relative each week, been going up pretty similarly. But, yeah, DC had to go, traded him out to Dylan Moore, who I sort of identified as my number one option. Rowan Marshall was probably the second one, which would give me some cash in the bank. But I just like Dylan Moore with his role and his matchup, but it only left me like 2K or 3K in the bank, which meant I really had only option to trade Hewitt out to was Doc. So, I mean, Doc, he kind of got some points in the end, but it was pretty disappointing early, so he couldn't really gather back that lost time he had at the start. He was just clangers everywhere. He wasn't hitting targets, and then junk time doesn't really help. So 100% would have gone Himmelberg with JD if I had the cash, but unfortunately, Himmelberg, he's been too good. He's shot himself up too much in price, and DC sort of dropped too much the week prior where it just didn't work out. So I think that's happened to me a few times this year, but it is what it is. How about you, George?
Looks like you guys did some very successful trades. Fantastic work. Scored 2,360. So I think that's 5 weeks in a row I've lost to both of you guys. No trades. I've been ranked. I finished the buys at 2K rank, and I've made 200 spots in about, when was the buys? Like 6-7 weeks. No, like 6 weeks. So I haven't really made any ground, and I haven't been able to do any trades because, as you guys told me, don't trade, don't use 10 trades in 5 weeks or whatever it was. So, yeah, I can't make any moves, but this week I might, even though I say that every week. So, team did good. Laird has been super good for me. I just slapped the captain on him. My captain record hasn't been good first half of the year, but I've just been chucking it on Laird and Oliver, and it's been working out really well. But yeah, I think we'll move on to the next topic. So, leagues. Anno, how we doing?
Well, I thought we should. I mean, we did it last week, I think. Quickly chucked up how some leagues are going because, yeah, we didn't mention it too much early because it was a bit of a shit show at the start of the year. But
we couldn't find them. They were way down the bottom. It took a while for us to come back.
Internet.
I was just having a look at my history. Right, like round 7, I was 28K. Round 12, I was still like 20,000. So
yeah,
it's only in the last 6-7 weeks I've gone from 20,000s to 3.5K or whatever it is now. You can make
pretty similar, JD. So yours look pretty similar to this, where just sort of. I mean, we're non-Brody owners, so probably forward ahead to another topic we'll talk about. But this is where we started dropping. He was going well, and then we've just sort of made our way back slowly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a non-Sicily owner as well, but yeah, like my charts I think quite similar. And you just see like not having the value through the first 7 weeks is awful. But then once you finally start getting to an almost complete team as well, it negates that. And if you've picked other good players, then you can make a comeback. But yeah, we were moaning about it a little bit beforehand that if we'd both started him, we'd probably be top 1,000 or thereabouts.
It is what it is. But I guess you call the 18-team league still the main league ranking. We have the Sweats League, which we sort of, I don't know, we gathered a few of the more hardcore players at the start of the year. We got Tommy as well.
The sweaty players.
Tommy, who was back-to-back top 10, and he's, I mean, shout out Tommy if you're watching, but he's actually sort of anchoring this league. Him and Zach Rocket, so shout out to you boys. But I think it's got like everyone mostly like top 4 or 5K. So, I mean, it doesn't even look, when you look at the rankings, like it's going too well, but I guess the collective of everyone being sort of top 3 or 4K sort of helps. I think next one's maybe we've done this content creators one where we've sort of got that in with a few of the Dr. Supercoach boys, but I remember Pistol telling us his leagues doesn't work because of the expert thing, so they probably can't see it. And then I think there was Regs 2's here, and I think
Regs 2 beating Regs 1 is
that's not good.
Discord.
And then the other one, I guess,
some people getting relegated next year for sure. Promotions coming from Regs 2.
Oh, and then the other one I will show again, just to piss George off, is the drafted teams.
Let's go, boys. Let's go, boys.
Oh, still a couple thousand to me.
We're growing. I think we're growing.
Yep. I don't think I'm catching you, but I know who's not catching us, and that's George's team down in 20th.
Down to 20th.
Stop scrolling. You're doing
my goodness.
I don't know what's going on there, George. You're not the greatest GM, I don't think, but
no.
A bit like the Crom.
Oh, yeah, bet on par, I think. Yeah, can't draft, apparently, just like the Crom. Exactly right. So, leagues are, we're getting there.
Yeah, look, we had none up there at the start of the year, so they are slowly making a comeback. Not as good as last year, though, right? We had a lot up there last year.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how important it is to, even though, you miss out on a few picks early, once your finishing team, if your finishing team's really good, like you guys can actually finish. I think you'll go top 1K for the year, and I think JD you'll go really, really close. It'll be down to the last round. I think the way you guys are going.
So it should be insane because this year has felt so awful. Like it has felt so bad. To even have a sniff of it is insane to me.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of players, like you guys have Merritt and Sinclair, and it kills my soul every week watching them score 130.
And Sinclair run around with no one on him.
Yeah, he's got 2 tags coming up. So
the thing is, you're right. Yep.
But anyway, I'll go over some. Our first topic is just a quick one on Supercoach. Our biggest regret for the season. So trade in, trade out. Maybe you poor thinking behind something. I'll start off, I think. So my biggest regret, and there's a few. The first 2 rounds, I actually think the one that annoys me the most is actually going Christian Petrarca, because I never like picking players that have slight injury clouds on them. And he said that he has to manage his knee for like the rest of his career, basically. So picking him in a mid slot, while he has been good at times, I think there were weeks, I think he had like a 5-week average of 80 or something. And in the midfield, you can't have that.
Yeah, but this is so unfair because he did get sick, right? Like he had bad flu game, which is like part of the reason why he dropped off for a bit. And then he came good after the buys again. And now he's just like, his variance is insane. It's through the roof. So like round 11, we had 53. That was his flu game, right? He's no MJ. Let's go. And then like 70 the week after, and then he was fine after that. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Because I think if you take those out, he's otherwise been okay.
Not good enough though. Even with those, there's so many good premium mids. Like I'm locked out of Steel. Like Mills has been good, although his CBAs have dropped. So
if you'd picked up Steel at the same time, you'd be much more upset because he missed 5 weeks or whatever it was.
To be honest, it would have been him, the other one. Yeah. I think I had money at the time, but I decided to save money. But I think the thinking behind it is I didn't like the fact there was a bit of talk about his knee. Mm-hmm. I think that's what annoyed me the most. That I just did it because the money suited what I was trying to achieve. So I'm probably not going to pick Track again. Maybe like a post-buy thing if he's cheap, a bit like last year, how he was really good. But if money's not an issue, I don't really want to pick him again. But yeah, it's just the fact that there was the murmurs about his knee picking him. That kind of annoyed me. So, but yeah, there's a lot of other things that have been worse. But that was just one fundamental that to me I didn't like. Mm-hmm. Jackson.
Yeah, so same round I picked up Petrarca, I picked up Jordan De Goey, who's been even worse for me. This is part of like, if I had Brody, would I've ever picked De Goey? And the answer is no. So that's probably where it pains me the most. So I think the learning here with De Goey was, even though he had high CBAs at the time, he wasn't staying up around the ball. And so it's just one to look at. Like, CBAs aren't the be all and end all. You do have players to get high CBAs, but then move into the forward line or another position on the ground, and you have to check that. So that's a bit of a rookie mistake from me and a learning from next year. I would say the other mistake I made was getting Zorko in round 9. So that was a little bit of a desperation play to get a cheap player just so I could make my other trades work. Getting like, Bailey Smith the week after and that type of stuff. But it's a little bit like what we talked about with Hall as well. These injury history players, you can pick them for a few weeks at the end and it's okay. But picking someone of his age with soft tissue injury with 14 games left in the year was a recipe for disaster, and I really should have known better. So yeah, those be the ones I call out. Enno, what about yourself? Any name and shame?
Without sounding like I'm big upping myself, but a lot of my trades, I'm not too upset with. So obviously, number one, me and JD, we didn't speak about, is Will Brodie never getting him. So I guess we could say that's a regret. You not getting Sicily as well. Those are too easy. Like that one, I think is just too easy. But the fact that I didn't get Will Brodie and pretty much still, like we said, somehow in contention for top 1K means I've mostly brought in every other player and sort of nailed it. Obviously, Bailey Smith, that hurts. What happened there? I got Jack Steele in. He gave me a couple of 70s. Those ones you can't get angry at. I think the ones and types of trades I'm upset with and that were the worst. Like, I could probably be sitting here with 4 or 5 trades if I didn't do Dylan Stevens to BJ Williams. 0 gain from that. And then the other ones were the Jack Carroll sideways from CMAC. Look, that did. I think that didn't even make a trade work. I was sidewaysing Berry to Cameron that round to DC. So that's a wasted trade. Thinking I was getting a playing player during the buys, which didn't happen anyway. So I could probably be 2, and there's probably a third I'm missing here. The Owens debacle. I traded him out and got him back the week 4, and then he got me a 20 and wasn't even worth it either. So there's probably 3 trades there that just were wasted on rookies, like not even the premium side of things. So look, I could be sitting here with maybe even 3 or 4 trades still and have some more luxuries, but I guess we always trades every year. No one's perfect, and when you got 35, it's pretty hard to be perfect. It just feels like you can waste a few, but be good to nail every trade every year, but obviously it's never going to happen. So, I think mine's more not with the premiums selections. Most I've been okay with the decision making behind it. Like even English, he's been disappointing since we got him, but like he got concussed, and what do you want to do? Like he's come back, been all right this week, finally, but still okay with the process of that trade, but. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of those examples, and none I'm totally upset that I went, why the hell did I get this guy? Like, I guess maybe the one would be Paddy Cripps, like eventually succumbing to that and then watching him score, 2 tons for me in 10 weeks and then eventually sidewaysing him and then him going 120 when I don't have him. So thanks, Paddy boy.
And
I'm down about 40 points
80?
on the Brayshaw trade already, yeah, so.
Yeah.
But I think, all in all, the biggest regret besides Brodie is just a couple of rookie crappy sideways, maybe. So
you really haven't done much wrong, I think.
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't be at 2.6K if I hadn't, without Brodie since the start. So I think we've seen it with maybe other people that didn't have him. It's hard to make ground, and I've somehow done it through trades, but. It's been a weird year. The boosts and everything thrown up a bit of a left field thing as well. Like, I think it's a learning curve.
Yep. So before we get into the Q&A, we're going to go over some hot topics that are going on in the AFL. So the sub rule, the draws, the high tackle rule, and also talk about the Ds quickly. So I won't spend too long on this, but just as a bit of fun, boys, what are your thoughts on the sub rule? So we saw the debacle with Richmond, the full body cramp / groin / calf to Ben Miller. JD, what did you think of the sub rule, and what do you think it means if they change it for Supercoach?
I mean, firstly, fair play to Richmond, because if the AFL is going to leave a loophole open to exploit, you want your team to be doing everything they can to get the wins, right? So I think that's fair play to them. It's not really on the AFL to decide what they want to do with the sub rule. Do they want it to be as originally intended, which is that it should only be used for like genuine injury, in which case they need to put safeguards in place. So if you get subbed out, you automatically miss next week. So it can't be abused for non-injury purposes. Or do they want it to be a tactical thing where teams can use it whenever they choose, in which case there should be no restrictions on it and teams just get to decide when to activate it or not. So I think like the middle road they've taken at the moment is just awful. In terms of like what it means for Supercoach, if they go the tactical route, I would hate it. We were talking about this a little bit before, like the old
Horrible
way that it used to work was just terrible for Supercoach, because you'd have players that get subbed out at halftime or halfway through the third quarter and just give you terrible scores, especially rookies that they're looking to manage on game time. It's just so bad for Supercoach. So I would hate it from that perspective. But it would have been great this year, because Brody would have got subbed out at 3/4 time for the first month to 2 months straight. It would have saved my
He
year.
lives rent-free in your heads, both of you, that guy.
When I close my eyes
like
at
you
night,
said-
I have nightmares about Will Brody winning balls in the bottom of packs, handballing it out.
Like you said, closing off that that anti-pod at the start of the year, George, I'm happy you did that, because you'd be experiencing this, but you'd be like even worse than us. You'd be absolutely hating
Bro,
it.
I can't take antipods even now.
You
like,
couldn't take it for 2 weeks. We've taken it for 20. So, hey, we haven't been that bad. We could have been a lot worse.
So
Yeah.
I was looking, by the way, on Supercoach data for people that don't own Brody and Sicily to see who the highest ranked is. And now that doesn't mean they didn't have them all year, because I'm guessing some people had Brody and then traded him out at max price. But no second prizes, who looks like he's going to overtake Tommy for rank 1 on Hall of Fame this year. Doesn't have either, and he's placed 58th overall at the moment. So big shout out. He is my absolute hero to have avoided them all year and be like, top 100. That is just insane to me.
Only cost him 50 grand, but move on.
He must have traded him out, right? He can't be that high without getting the value through him. I reckon he moved him on.
Yep.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say in the sub rule is it's got to go the way of tactical or like be free to use it, which, of course, like we said, sucks for fantasy, because rookies that are the sub are going to come on no matter what. I mean, if you can use it whenever you want, it'd be rare for them to just sit there and not be used. So it'd be terrible. But even doing the 1 week injury thing, like I think it's still kind of unfair, because some injuries you can recover from in a week. So it's still got the bit of grey area, or not grey area, because it'll be, a blanket 1 week, but it'll be probably unfair is more what I'd say. Like, you could roll your ankle and get subbed off, but then you can still probably somehow get through to get the next week. But yeah, anyway, I think it just should be, because back in the day, we were saying before, it was 22 players still and 1 was the sub. So, but now it's 23. So I think if they just make it where you can use it whenever you want, keep it 23, then it adds maybe a bit of tacticians to the game. Coaches can pick subs accordingly. Of course, it will suck for fantasy. Rookies will be losing money left and right, but for footy, I think that's the best option.
I hope, for Supercoach's sake, I hope they keep it currently, because if they're going to use a loophole, then they sub out the taller players in the wet and whatnot, which doesn't really matter for Supercoach. So I don't really care too much, but
or what about just 5 on the bench, George? No subs.
Yeah, and people are going to cry about when a player goes down, then more rotations for the team, more warm bodies on the bench and stuff.
But the rotations are capped, right? So you still can only do so many. But
yeah, that's true. I'd rather that than no sub, just as long as Supercoach #1 priority for me. But that's the AFL. Now the draws. So my take on the draws during the regular season. So I think they're stupid to have draws at any point. I think should be, instead of winning, like next score wins, because you don't want to see the team handballing it through the points and winning the game. I think it should be win by 6.
That's next goal, do you mean? So
just win by 6.
Win by 6.
You get 6 points. No, I reckon
if you keep getting points, the other team scores a goal, then you still got to win by 6.
So goal's not enough. It could be first goal wins, right? Like you could have someone clear the ball out within 30 seconds and win it.
But what if they kick 7 behinds and then they kick a goal and they're behind?
Couldn't
but
they still like go on for ages, George? Like we saw the third quarter of the Tigers game. It's just like it was crap.
It's gonna happen
Could go on for another
eventually.
20 minutes.
So what I would do is,
I don't know.
I think there's some concern with it going too long because the problem is like it's
game's
not
already
like,
pretty long.
Yeah, well, and the problem is like you can have 10, 15-minute periods where teams don't score or they only score a point each. And so the thing I'd hate to avoid is multiple overtimes during regular season where it just spends a team for next week. So I think what should happen is to have like the NFL type system where you have like overtime for 5 minutes. And if you don't have a winner at the end, then it's just a draw.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's almost like a play on period.
We're trying to not have draws though. What's the point?
Well, it's just rare that if you go for another 5 minutes that you have a draw. And if you do still have a draw at that point, then like so be it. But I think the biggest reason, by the way, I think that they should figure out something is someone said it like the draw is great history as part of the game or whatever, but you're robbing teams of like those game-winning moments. Jamie Elliott's kick after the siren right to win this week was epic. Can you imagine how much more epic that would be if it was in an overtime or something like that? You know, from the game before with Tigers and Freo, like that goes down in history as like one of the best finishes of all time, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I do think that you can't just have it keep going on and on and on because you actually spend players for next week, which is not good. And you should still be trying to avoid that.
Yeah. I won't say much more as though it probably looks like I'm coming from some point of bias, just being affected by it. But the draw kind of stuffs up the ladder a bit too. And people will say, well, stiff shit, you didn't win. But like the percentage is a good earmark of teams. And obviously you got to win games to get up the ladder. But it just completely writes off the percentage that a team's built over the season, which is a good indicator. So I don't know. Get rid of the draw. I don't mind the idea of giving 5 minutes. Then if it's still a draw, then stiff shit. But I guess it kind of doesn't really fix the problem. But I'll just go like, yeah. Next, like more scoring shots or something like in the overtime. If it's still a draw, like I don't know. It's probably too complicated, but. Yeah, it works in finals though. Win by 6, yeah. What if you're not winning by 6? What if it takes another bloody 15 minutes?
I think it will be pretty rare. And it'll be funny because everyone will be out on their feet. That'll be good. Anyway, I think next topic is high tackle rule. JD, you want to start again? I don't really have an opinion on this, but where do you sit on the Ginnivan fiasco?
So it's not so much the Ginnivan one, but like I like what they're trying to do. So I hated that players would try and create the high contact to draw freeze because it's anti the intention of the rule, which is that you want to protect players from getting head knocks and getting concussions. So rewarding them for seeking out head high contact is just awful. If you're taking head knock seriously, then I think the changes that they're trying to make have to be made. But the AFL's completely butchered the implementation, is what I'll say, and it's something they need to fix up with like black and white for next year. But I mean, I think Ginnivan should have been pinged holding the ball for what it's worth. But I'm a biased Essendon fan, so don't listen to me. But I do think what they're trying to do is good. And I also do think that Ginnivan is being unfairly targeted. There are others that are dropping the knees just as much, but they're not getting called what Ginnivan would. So I think people that are upset about that are correct. But it's not that Ginnivan's being incorrectly not paid freeze. It's just that others should be getting pinged too and they're not.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about this too much, but it's always whenever we see a rule...
You don't want that Collingwood heat. You don't want the Collingwood heat. You're too soft, Eno. Come on.
It's the whole... It's any rule, JD, when they sort of flip it and change it. It's like takes like 4 weeks to catch up to like... It goes too far the other way where now like you can't even get... You can get punched in the face almost and not get a free now, like even not from a tackle. Like it's... I don't know. Like it's a hard game to umpire. Like the umpire's in a pretty... shitty spot. Like this has got to be the hardest sport in the world to blow a whistle to, surely. I can't think of any others that are harder. So like, I mean, it's just, you're relying too much on them to make split second decisions and stuff like that. Like how you meant to know, like really in real time, decide, did this player drop their knees or not? Like, it's pretty freaking hard. So they're gonna have a tough time. But yeah, I'm happy with the like reasoning for it. Yeah, you don't really like seeing it.
Okay, and before we had about 10 questions on short to Stewart, but before we get to that, in one word, will the D's finish top 4? JD, yes or no?
If they beat Freo this week, yes. Otherwise, no.
I'm saying yeah. Yeah.
I think they will. Okay, I think we can move on. How many trades left? Oh, so Q&A time. So yeah, if you are in the Discord before podcasts, I don't know, like 7-ish on a Monday night, I'll post a thread in the Discord about podcast questions. People can leave them there. We get a whole bunch of them. And yeah, we try and condense it a bit because they can overlap. But first question is, how many trades left would you need to feel comfortable going short to Stewart? Because I think this is probably the number one trade. We see Stewart's fixture 3 at GMHBA. I think the Dogs do seem to feed interceptors a fair bit with all their entries inside 50. So it's a good matchup for Stewart this week. He's had a break. What's his average at GMHBA? Like 160 or something.
Yeah.
How many trades left would you be comfortable doing this move? Start with you, Anna.
Well, how are you wording it, George? Because here you've got how many trades left do you need to do it? And that's just obviously one. But to feel comfortable, I would need 2. Because I'd still want 1 for we know what's coming.
What's your remaining trade count?
After this trade is finished, I want 1. I don't want to go to 0 now, 4 weeks out.
The other question is,
I know the upside is monstrous with this trade because Shorty's playing in the forward line, averaging probably like 80, when Stewart can average 130, 120. Let's be maybe conservative, but yeah. So the upside's massive. What might get you an extra 150 to 200 points over there? I mean, that's big, 200 maybe, but yeah, 150-ish. Is that worth risking someone going down the way? I mean, you got to, again, we've said it last week, assess what your cover's like. If it's Jake Stringer or Heaney, like sort of JD, it's probably okay. But if it's, or even Jai Cully, it's probably okay. But if it's, well, I don't even barely have any. So I wouldn't do it with my cover. But if you have decent cover, you can maybe go to 0. But I'm saying 1. I wouldn't want to go. I want to hold on to that 1 more trade.
Yeah. The other question is, did you try to hold Hewitt? Because if you've got Hewitt, there's a chance he misses this week with that back again, or at least it reoccurs. So, like, I wouldn't want to be going below 1 for sure. So I think you have to have at least 2 or 3. Yeah, like I wouldn't be going from 1 to 0. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not.
I get how enticing it is. Like, it feels like you're trading the worst defender to the best, but you are pretty much. But maybe it's a bit of me saying, stuff you guys, you don't deserve Tommy Stewart, George, after all the shit you talk about him and not owning him. And now I'm not going to have him for the last month, which is what I was very happy to have him for, looking at that fixture. It's going to chuck the VC on probably this week.
I mean, yeah. He played the Dogs in what?
When I had him last, mate, he was on 45 in 20 minutes.
Got concussed at the start of Q2. Was
ran into Baz's shoulder.
Exactly, was on track for a 130, 140, whatever. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, we've all had Short or someone to Stewart earmarked for the longest time, but unfortunately, we're just low on trades now.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to 0.
I'm going to 0. I think Rory Thompson played well in the VFL. Ware's been doing okay. I had a tough matchup on the weekend. I got Cully, I got Hobbs, probably grab Hollands as well.
Yeah.
I think Stewart can put 50 points on Short every week. I'd say call it 150 over 4 weeks. I think he can do that.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
And if all going well with team sheets, I've got Walsh and Hewitt still, and like hopefully Walsh is all good. And then Hewitt. Apparently he is possible to come back, which is not doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence because you want to hear that he will come back, but we'll see how he goes. So all going well with team sheets, I'm going to do it. I need to play for top 1K. And if I get an injury, well, I got cover. If another injury, then I don't know. At least I know that I'll get some upside with Stewart to Short, all going well. So yeah, I'm advocate for going to 0 with good cover. You guys like one trade at least in the bank. Fair enough. Number 2, Braden Pruce and Aaron Hall. Would you consider either of these two options, Jackson?
If you have trades, sure. But so who you'd have to have Darcy Cameron, or Darcy Cameron in your rucks,
or like a out again or something for Hall. Yeah. Oh boy.
But the problem with both of these are, can you count on them to play 4 games? Probably not. The over or under is probably not much higher than 4 for how many games they could play in a row. So if you're going down to 0 trades, definitely not. You'd have to have trades in the bank to go down to either of those, I think, as options. I mean, if you're out of trades and you don't have any money, then you want to risk it for the biscuit, then by all means. They're not bad picks, but they're just big burn factor, and Supercoach limited trades, not great.
We thinking Bruce even just stays here from the last month, or they seem pretty undecided. Yeah, but they, I wouldn't trust that. Hall's probably the one where you'd consider it, just because of, again, he's like a Stewart, got the upside to give you, plus probably the similar amount of points that you think Stewart can get, really, like with how dirty his role is. So, got to have trades left to do that. I wouldn't be touching otherwise.
I think Rowan's only 20, 30k more than Bruce. I'd probably go that route.
Definitely go that route.
Okay, and then Hall, I can't do it. Even with trades, it's just, I don't know. He's broken, I think. He's just had, 3 interruptions this year already. So I guess it's your risk tolerance. You kind of go for league wins or something. But yeah, we know the issues with them, so I would not. Third question, who would you trade up first? Petrarca or Brayshaw? To get to a steal or merit? And which one out of those two?
Is that worth a trade? I know Steele looked really good. Merritt gets North this week. Who am I less inclined to keep?
I'd be getting rid of Petrarca. I think I hold so. Brayshaw.
Yeah, I think that's where I was leaning. Yep.
And if you were trading to Steele or Merritt, that's a pretty hard choice.
Essendon fixture really good, isn't it?
Yeah, Essendon fixture is pretty nice. And the Saints after this week gets harder. They've got Hawks, Geelong, Brisbane, Swans. Merritt has got North, as you mentioned, then GWS, Port, Richmond. So as much as I feel like I'd say Steele almost any other point in the year, maybe you have to go Merritt just based on ease of fixture. But yeah, I don't know.
I'll take Steele and I'll get rid of Petrarca. I probably wouldn't get rid of either. I would probably do nothing.
Yeah, I feel like that's a trade could be better used, but you never know. Trade really up and down.
I think I'd actually get rid of Brayshaw first. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think Petrarca's ceiling is higher, so I'd play for ceiling and go to Brayshaw to Steele if you felt that was necessary and you weren't going Stewart down back. So yes, moving on to the next question. Any pods that you guys like for Supercoach finals? Anyone in mind? I mean, for me, I just like there's a lot of, LDU Warren has been really good players like this. For me, I just like going the players that have been good, especially in the back half of the year, and just stick to those. You never know when, these players could drop a bad score because they've been on hot streaks. They've never really done it for full seasons. Or even like someone like a Max Squan might be a good option. Scored well on the weekend. Do you guys have any pod in mind, or would you just rather play it safe? Start with Eno.
Dylan Moore, mate. Big pod in the league finals. He'll get you across the line. Now, I think Gawn's a good shout. Obviously, Stewart, ones I've already mentioned. Not something I think about too much. I think having a trade in a final could be smarter sometimes, even midweek. I think I used to think about that 5 years ago, but, say you're behind or want to cover off someone to win a matchup, you can use a trade and do that. So I think maybe save them for that instead of forcing in a pod to sort of win a game. I think just play it by ear with your opponent. But I'm not really a league expert, I'll be honest. JD.
Yeah, I guess
you were a bit of an expert, weren't you?
Oh, definitely. It's
Back
where
in
I
the day.
started. Yeah, it's definitely where I started. So I still got a few league strategies.
Tricks.
I've got a pretty good record, but I made sure all my cash leagues have prizes for most overall points now. So I can still play in my leagues and get money each year, but I generally don't win finals now because I've burnt all my trades. But in terms of, like, I guess it depends on whether you care about 4 rounds left or just the last couple, because for the last 4 rounds, like, I think this is where you just start looking at fixtures. So you want to find players that are playing probably 2 or 3 of like Collingwood if they're a midfielder, North, Adelaide, Richmond if they're a midfielder, Hawks, Crows. So if they're playing lots of those, then I think you're in the money. So some teams that stand out for me would be Swans. They play GWS, which is easy, North, which is easy, Collingwood, which is easy for mids, and then they've got St Kilda in the last round, which isn't too bad either. You've got Essendon that plays North this week, which we touched on, GWS, which is good, Port, and then Richmond. And then I think there's one other team that has a really good run home. Can anyone remember what is it? Is it Adelaide that's still got a good run from here?
West Coast North together, back-to-back run 21-22. We got Carlton this week, not easy. They smashed us last time.
I forgot about that with Lead. That's why I'm stuffed.
Lead fixture proof.
I think it's Port. So Port play Collingwood, Richmond, Essendon, Adelaide. So, like, literally 4+ matchups for a midfielder. So, I don't know if I could go Wines, but you could look at Boak or Rosie as potential pods.
Rosie's been good.
For Swans, I think you could look at Warner. Parker's obviously already heavily owned.
Butters CBA's shot back up. He could be a shout.
Could be.
450k. Yeah, he got them all back. He lost them all for 2 weeks and he got them back, I think. This is 22 here. So he could be one, I guess.
For Essendon, I don't think there's really Dylan Shield.
We forgot to mention that.
He's on fire.
It's over.
Oh, no.
That's GG.
Lip scored an 84, so he still did all right. What did Rao go? Was he the worst of the 3?
Yeah, I don't think he went too well.
79. All right, not that far off the pace.
Close.
Wasn't there only a few points in it?
There was basically even last week. So I think Shield probably taking the lead now. Anyway, I think we can move on to the next question, which is probably more for you, JD. I think, and I didn't take too much interest in fantasy this year, but is there anything in fantasy, in terms of, we'll say, anything that you've learned in fantasy, we'll say, that has helped you think, for your Supercoach team playing fantasy for the first time this year?
Yeah, so this is probably stuff that we'll talk about a bit more in the off season. Definitely, the being aggressive with points on field mindset is one.
Oh yeah,
probably I've after seeing out with fantasy and how the best do it in that format this year, I've realized I've been too conservative with Supercoach, holding sometimes. That's probably one. I'd say the other thing that you really underestimate is the snowball effect. So in fantasy, when your team is good and you're ahead, it feels like you're 1 or 2 weeks ahead of the competition every week. So this week, for example, Darcy Cameron dropped a 34 and I'd moved him out for Bailey Smith. So it was like a plus 70-point trade for me this week. Not many people were in the position to do that. And that's part of the reason why I'm staying ahead, because you end up being 1 or 2 weeks ahead on all these trades. And like an example this year is the week before we were going to get Oliver just because he bottomed out in price, right? And we had other things to worry about. What did he drop, like a 180 or something like that? And he made his really high break even, and it just was really painful for us, right? if you're 1 week ahead and you've got that snowball rolling, then you're the player in Supercoach that's picking up Oliver on that week, and you're getting that little bit on the competition each week. So I think that's the other thing that just I've really observed in fantasy that I've never felt or noticed the same effect in Supercoach. So yeah, there's other things to talk about, but those are the two that come to mind when you bring it up.
Yeah, I think they're great points. I mean, I've learned so much from fantasy. I think, yeah, points on the field mindset, as you were saying. When I was behind early in the year, I was just thinking, I got to get points on the field now. Use trades, keep rolling with the team. I finished my team in round 14. Even there was a point, I think in round 12, like I think I did the Heaney to English. I wasn't planning on doing anything because the team was basically done. So just finishing the team early, and then I think Anna, you had injuries. I think like a Bailey Smith or something, and I think I can't remember you JD, but like you guys didn't finish your team till like round 15.
Yeah.
So that's basically like for me that has finished the team. I guess you guys got a bit unlucky with Bailey Smith, but I was well ahead, I guess, in terms of having the final team, and I didn't have to deal with fielding rookies post-buy, which I think that's when I made my jump post-buy, like the week after post-buy, and then since then it's just been stagnated. So,
I mean,
getting points on the field.
For other Supercoach series, right, this is why we talk about upgrade cadence and why with the boosts and the extra trades, it was all around how to use them to upgrade your team earlier, because the points on field and being that 1 week ahead is really important. It's just we never really articulate it like that. And when you play fantasy, you just see how much of a difference it makes being, one trade ahead of your opponents every week. It's 50 points a week. Over 10 weeks, that's 500 points, right? That's the gap between you and first now.
Yep.
Yep.
Probably one for you, Eno. This person has one trade left, and they have Darcy Cameron. Do they get rid of him? Say they have good cover.
Yeah, one trade left. It's tough because, again, like the short to Stu, I'd like to hold on to it, but I think DC. I think his time is nigh. It's like I saw it the week before. He was a full forward man for like I want to say 70%. Cox is all the ruck time now, which I don't know. I guess part of it is DC's a pretty good forward, but Cox is pretty good himself. So I don't know the full reasoning behind it, but I think Cox had 24, 26 hitouts on the weekend. DC had 10. He was forward majority of the game. It wasn't like a 50-50 like it's used to be. So it's tough because I said no with Shorty to Stu, but I think the writing's sort of on the wall with this one. Whether Grundy's back next week or not, I think it's the role's just not there anymore like it used to. And who knows, could flip again. I think McRae's shown pretty intently just to switch things around even mid-game and do whatever. But the one trade makes it tough. I want to say no because one trade, I just want to hold on to that. But I think DC's done, unfortunately.
Yep. So you boys have one trade left. I'm probably going to have zero unless I get carnage at team sheets and can't do shot to Stuart. But you guys have one. What round do you guys plan on using this trade? Like if you have, I don't know, 2 weeks to go, you're going to use it, or you're just going to wait for just purely for injury the entire year? JD?
So the week after everyone buckles and uses that last trade is the week we get a season-ending injury for someone important. So I'm waiting to hold my one trade until everyone else has used all theirs. That is what I'm waiting for. Yeah,
as in like a 1 weeker.
Yeah, well, I mean a hamstring. A hamstring now is season-ending, really.
But I mean, what week is this happening? Round 22, and then doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, so I guess right. So you're probably right. If we get to round 22 and I still have it, I'll probably use it.
Yeah. Boys, Nick Dacos is the exact same money as Tom Stewart by the dollar.
No, he's not. You lie.
Do I do it
really?
now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a sign.
Like,
no, you can't.
Said not using the trade. No, I know I can't. Because an injury's coming, eh? But I feel so robbed not having Tom Stewart for the last month that I just feel like I deserve to have him back.
I deserve him.
Yep, George's famous quote, I deserve him. But I do. Started him in round 1, copped all this crap. Gastro decides to KO one of my midfielders, makes us lose that game. Plays best on ground. I'm not. If I sit through like a 140 average for a month without having it, I'll be pretty pissed. And watch George celebrate till the cows come home. Kind of want to cover it off too, so I can still catch up to you.
It's my only chance. Otherwise, you're going to catch me, honestly. But we'll see how.
If I go to 0, you go to 0. We'll handshake. Go there.
Yeah. Is it still worth doing Crips to Steal? So Crips still put 30 on Crips, but I think Crips has looked better the past 2 weeks. For me, I think it's short to Stewart as a priority. If that's something you have more trades, I think Crips to Steal the week after is something you could do. But if you don't have short, I still think you can do that. I'm okay with that. But I think
it costs 90k, George. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's only getting worse as well.
Yeah. Which means to me that if you've got Shorty, you go to, or even Crisp to Stew. Say they got rid of Shorty already. Would you do Crisp to Stew or Crips to Steal?
Oh, I think I don't know what's happened to Crisp. The clangers are just getting worse.
It's pretty obvious. If you still had Shorty and Crips, you're getting rid of Shorty to Stew. Is more upside, right? So maybe in this instance they've already gotten rid of Shorty or whatever. Is Crisp to Stew still the same amount of upside?
I think it is. I'm waiting for the turnaround from Crisp, and it's just not happening. What I will say actually is Maynard's gone down actually. So if Maynard's out for the year, I'd actually maybe do the Steal.
Because he's trust me, he's forward of the ball. More forward of the ball. He's kicking. It's bad. But when he gets a run from the back line, that's his best attribute. Yeah. Less chance of fucking up, put it that way.
Yeah.
Just handball and run.
What do you reckon, Jackson?
I mean, I think short's still a priority trade. Well, do we have what his CBAs were this week?
Shorty, I think it was like 6 total.
Which that was the number, like 24% or something.
Yeah, there wasn't many goals kicked. Hold on, I'll grab it for you, but
I'm trying to look at the same time. How do I spell
Prestia had 16. Yeah, Shorty had 6. So what's that? Maybe it's like a 30-40%. Yeah.
Anyway,
it was 33%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was a slight bump on last week's. Only had 15%. Yeah, no, I'm still trading short, I think. God, I don't want either of my side. It's awful.
Do we
wait fixtures? Oh, both of them have tough fixtures, right? Neither of them have. Yeah. Whoever.
Anyway, if Hewitt is out again, do you keep holding
for the Crips? Yep.
Or Hewitt himself? Did you mean Hewitt himself?
Hewitt, yeah. Oh my
god. Well, if you held for
it's
1 week,
dude. If he's out again,
but so this is the problem, right? If you held for 1 week and you expect him to be 1 week, like shouldn't logic dictate you hold again? But if you're worried,
people are trading short instead. So you just switched over to Hewitt instead of short.
Yeah, exactly. It's a high priority to trade out the one that's not playing.
Yeah.
And then we've already gone over Ginnivan, so we got a question for that, so that's fine. So that's a Q&A. I'll go over rookies and captains. So rookies, Jai Cully is getting the most CBAs at West Coast. I didn't see that coming. I think last week we said Cully or Carmichael. I said Carmichael. You said Cully, JD. I fluffed that one. So definitely Cully is the best cover you can get for 102K. Leading the CBAs, big-bodied mid, and he looks ready to go. He looks quite good. I figured he was 19 and his waffle numbers weren't super great. But yeah, he's been really, really good. So he's one. Yeah, I definitely get him for cover if you need cover. Prioritizing premiums first, of course. And Hollands was quite good. I have him behind Cully. I think he's fun to watch. I thought he played, I reckon he was half forward. I missed probably the first quarter and a half, but it looked like he was playing a half forward role. But yeah, do like Hollands, good, few nice kicks inside 50. So do like him, but prefer Jai Cully. Anything to add on any rookies, boys?
No, just shout out Noah Cumberland. Like, unfortunately, what happened at the end of the game, but he's been Richmond's best forward for the last 3 weeks, which is pretty crazy considering the other talent they've got in there. So we we had him below some of the other options, but I just want to say, like, super impressed by him again. He's a very good player.
Yeah. Although it's not hard to look too good with the small forwards and all the stupid shit they do. But yeah, it's been awesome.
The only other question is, like, does Carmichael get a spot again this week? Because
he got subbed out.
He's gone up in price.
Maynard, right? It's just interesting for those that already have him as cover. Because, like, Chris going back and then Carmichael coming into play midfield and forward of the ball, given he can hit the scoreboard, makes sense to me.
Might be good for you. Yeah.
Yep. Also, Sonsi, but I think Cully clear over Sonsi, but he looked good though.
Oh, don't mind Sonsi.
Did you chat Hollands already?
Yes.
Okay.
Holland's
just like second. The actual game, I missed it. I don't know, for whatever reason, I keep.
He could have kicked 3 goals. He was playing all right.
We should have had him from the start of the year. That's sad.
Yeah. Hopefully he's like cheap next year by some miracle, but I think he's going to play out the year. But I think we'll move on to captains now. So captains are quite difficult this week because we have a lot of nice matchups. You know, Clary plays on the Friday night, which is, it's always going to be hard to pass up. Clary VC. Steele plays Hawthorn. Pretty easy matchup for mids. Laird's is pretty much as safe as they come at the moment. And then Took plays West Coast. And Neil plays Richmond.
And
so there's a lot of great options. Yeah, there's just options left, right, and center here.
I've freaking got them all. It's annoying.
Oh, you poor thing. So Merritt plays last. Honestly, it's going to be hard not to take a good VC here if you get one because there's a lot of good options. This is stumped me. I actually am leaning towards going all the way and leaving it till I don't have Steele. I'd go Steele VC if I could. I might go VC Took into Neil on the Sunday. I should have a loop with Judson Clark there. Any thoughts on what are your plans for captain so far, JD?
Oh, it's so hard this week. So I like Steele vice captain against Hawks the most, but I don't have Steele. So I'm looking at Laird or Oliver VC, I think. Probably Laird. I like Oliver fading out worried me. And then actually, maybe I go Took Miller VC and then Merritt captain.
Remember Took in round 1? The 3 Gold Coast boys went nuts on West Coast. Like Witts, Rao, Took went like 450 points between them.
The holy trinity. I had so much hope in the year after that round. all I was spamming was those 3. North have been giving up massive scores to mids. They gave up 3 120s on the weekend. So, this is so tough. In situations like this, I actually look at like what the fantasy. This is, by the way, something else picked up for fantasy. What the fantasy people will project out on this, and then those that like I'm most biased towards from a Supercoach perspective, and they look good from a fantasy perspective. I'll probably take those. Just use as another cross check. Something else I've started doing this year, which has been really handy. But I think it will be Laird into Took or Merritt or Niller into Merritt. I don't think I'm going to trust Neil. He looks a little bit out of form at the moment, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Even though he's gone back-to-back 120s.
Right now, I've got Jack Steele into Merritt. So you think I'll get a decent one out of those two. They were both my C options on yesterday, and I was watching Merritt going nuts, and I'm like, shit, Jack Steele, hope you better help me out. Thank God he did. Yeah, he had a massive third, I think. So I think I'll stick with those two again. They're in pretty good form. Merritt's in unreal form, and when you get North, I mean, they don't put time into anyone.
No, they don't. So the person we haven't talked about at all is Bontempelli. So if we go by like 5-round average, you've got Laird at 141, Bont at 137, Oliver at 135, Merritt at 133, Miller 131, and then it jumps down to Steele at 121.
With an injury score in there probably too.
Yeah, so I think those 6 really are your option. But we haven't talked about Bont, which is interesting. We've overlooked in the last 2 weeks as well. Any thoughts about him against Geelong? Because he's in ripping form at the moment.
Yeah, even Stewart in that game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Bont as a pick. I reckon he went 140 on him last year from memory.
He went 109 this year, 143 in 21, and then 122 in 2020. And the really nice thing is obviously he's been moved back into that midfield a lot more, shouldering a lot more of the load.
Put it this way, if you walk away this week with a bad captaincy score, you'll be absolutely flat. Like, surely we all get a pretty decent one here.
One thing we do talk a lot about is like benchmarks, and I do think your benchmark should change based on the strength of the captain options.
The other options.
What would you realistically take this week?
I'm still taking a 120.
I think 130. But like I always say that, and then a 127 happens, I'll still take it. So
I honestly don't see you not taking Steele this week.
Yeah.
I'll split the middle and say like a 125 is probably what I'm taking this week. But yeah, I think Laird into Merritt is what I've got it on for now.
The West Coast tag, not really.
They tag themselves.
Tim Kelly, all-time performance. Oh my god.
That's
Caleb
crazy.
Daniels' cold winter game is now second worst game of all time.
At least no one owns Kelly.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there. Any final words, boys? Closing thoughts.
Rip to Paul Curtis, my cover. Get well, mate. Got COVID. So get well soon, Paul. King Paul, I call him. So my bench is looking mighty thin, boys. I think I got Maurice if he's sub again. That's it.
Yeah, I'm blessing all bench rookies to come back this week. D'Ambrosio in for Redmond, Thompson
Machado.
in for Ballard, Machado in for Billings. I don't think Hamilton's getting another game this year. He clearly isn't in favour. And then poor Judson Clark is being held out by Noah Cumberland for forever. So I don't think that he's coming back either.
Maybe we get the Teakle. Would you loop Teakle and Big O, George? Oh, you can't.
No, I can't, but I can. We love Josh. We love Josh Dunkley, but I can loop Dunkley with Cully, and I don't see why I shouldn't do it this week.
If it's free, why not? Yeah.
So this is actually like tough, right? So do I put the like loophole Heaney or Dunkley with Stringer?
Forget Stringer.
I think you trust Dunks.
Yeah.
He's got a 300 average of 70 or something.
Giants, yeah. Didn't Heaney go nuts round one?
Dunks was 100 in Dunks 100 in DT in fantasy, 60 in Supercoach.
Yeah, just butchers it a bit at times.
Although Stringer plays North.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Stringer plays North, and Heaney went 140 on GWS. The other person will probably, the other thing I need to decide is, do I put the Eon, Petrarca, or Cripps to loophole and potentially with Stringer as well? Because Stringer can swap between the two lines. So I've got to pick two to bench for Stringer.
Weirdly, I'd just say Track. I don't know.
Track will lift this week, I think. Need a win.
Yeah.
No, he didn't last week.
See what he makes for dinner on TikTok.
Yeah.
What? Have you seen these? Oh, I'll show you later, JD. He's been posting one a week, like match day feed, and for him, like full Master Chef. They're like editing everything to like different angles, and he's like chopping up shit. I'm not serious. I'm serious. It's weird as
sponsorships coming out of his ass. Like,
he does.
Anyway, I think that we'll leave it at that. I think we did under an hour, boys. I reckon maybe we did over 50 minutes. I think that will be okay. Anyway, thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.